So in this video, we're going to be covering some of the core principles of a scalable business and some of the key mindset shifts that you guys are going to have to make when it comes to thinking like a business owner. So with that being said, the first mindset shift that we're going to have to make is going from selling time to selling value. We must break the time to value chain. Now, I know we've talked about this before, but I'm going to have to drill this over and over again. This is the very fundamental key mindset shift that we need to make. So I want to help you change the way we think about selling our time for money. First of all, that's not where value truly comes from. We're actually going to be able to create value through pre-built systems that we're going to be providing access to. And so that's ultimately going to be the foundation of building a scalable business. Next mindset shift is thinking about providing custom work only to providing access and assets. Now, when I say custom services, I'm really talking about the traditional done for you agency type of service where you're providing a custom work for a client. So when we think of professional service providers like accountants, lawyers, you can see that those business models are very difficult to scale up because they're basically stuck on a hamster wheel, that time value chain. So I'm going to call this out. Professional services are a trap. You'll actually end up just having another job with multiple bosses. And so we don't want that. It's a very difficult chain to break. So as a business owner, we need to think a little bit differently. The way we approach our business model, again, is access to assets and access to the systems as opposed to trading our time for money. Next, we need to go from thinking of a mindset of, I can do that, to, is this scalable? It's very, very tempting, especially in the beginning of your business, when you're just trying to get your first few clients to basically satisfy your clients to whenever they ask you, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Right? And they want so many things from you. And it's going to be very tempting for you to say, oh, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can do that too. I can do everything. But in reality, if you start trying to compromise and start trying to do everything, you're actually going to be stuck on that hamster wheel of constantly just being stuck with fulfillment, being stuck with delivery of the service, and being stuck doing a lot of custom work. And so ultimately, that's what's going to be killing the scalability of your business. So we need to think no custom work, only building new systems. So if you're going to do the work, don't opt for doing custom work. Opt for building systems so that that system can be reused again and that processes within that system can be repeatable. So it is possible that maybe when a client makes a suggestion to you and that you're hearing that same suggestion from other clients as well. And maybe in that case, it might be worth a while to start thinking, okay, I'm hearing this a lot. And so can we actually create a new system for this kind of request that I'm getting a lot from these types of clients? So maybe you've identified a certain pain point that is very common in the marketplace where you're serving. And so in which case, it's totally fine to build out a new system for that. But remember, you have to avoid the temptation of doing custom work for each and every client whenever they request something new from you. So this is just a simple mindset shift that we have to go from, can I do this, to can I do this in a scalable way? All right, the next mindset shift that we need to make is going from more is more to less is more. Everything breaks when you scale. And so every successful scalable business do less so that things don't break as much. And remember, the more complexity that you put into the system, the more it's going to be easier to break. So this is kind of along the same lines as I was mentioning in the previous slides, where we can't just think from a mindset of, I can do everything for everyone. We need to be able to focus on who we're serving and what we're doing. And so the more focused we can be in what we're doing, the better of a job we can do at it. And ultimately, the bigger we can scale our business while providing amazing results for our clients, that's our ultimate goal. That's what we're working with. So again, shifting from the mindset of more is more to less is more. Now, I'm not saying that you should do less work or work less harder. I'm saying that the whole point of this mindset shift is to be more focused on what you do and not become the jack of all trades and just doing everything for everyone. All right. So again, less is more. So next, we're going to be making a mindset shift from depending on results to providing access, assets, and activities. So what I mean by that is don't have the value proposition of your business and your services be solely dependent on delivering one specific result. And if you can't achieve that result, then ultimately that value that you're providing is just not there, right? And so why would the client be paying for that? So we want to make sure that the value that we're offering is very much dependent on the assets that we're providing, and then the access to those assets, and then the specific activities that we're performing for them. So that way they can't just point to one specific result that we promise and then hinge our entire business to say, hey, I'm not achieving this result. And so therefore you're not doing your job. We want to be able to provide their whole structure to their system. So ultimately that system is going to help them achieve their results. But the value proposition of our business should not solely depend on that specific result. And like I mentioned here, you cannot and should not build their business for them. I still want you to get results for your clients, but it should not be dependent on just getting them the results. So hopefully this makes sense in that obviously we want to make sure that we're providing great results for our clients. But the mindset shift here is that we're not dependent on providing or promising one specific result. We're more providing the value by accessing the assets that we've built out. So you'll hear me say this a lot, but this is going to be the core principle and foundation of the scalability of your business. So the next mindset shift here is going from the customer is always right to the right customer is always right. And here, boundaries help create scalability. So we're going to have to define what is included within the services that we're providing and what's not included in the services that we're providing. And trust me when I say this, you're going to be in situations where your clients are going to be wanting to push those boundaries and they're going to be asking for more. And they're going to want to ask for services or things that are just outside the scope of what you're initially offering. And again, that goes back to one of our previous slides. In the way that we have to think about what the client is asking me, can that be done scalably? And you can't just assume that you have to do whatever the client is asking from you and that you have to do every single thing that they're asking you of and that they're always right. And you're also going to be speaking with a lot of prospects and a lot of leads where maybe you can help them in a lot of different ways and that they're really needing your help. But you really have to respect the boundaries that you've created within your business. And you have to make sure that you're super clear about those boundaries with your clients and that they should be respecting those boundaries. And this is really all about setting good expectations and being good at communicating with your clients. So as long as you set up those boundaries and that you're very good about communicating with your clients, then we should be pretty aligned with this mindset shift here. So these are just some of the core fundamentals of a scalable business and just some of the key mindset shifts that you need to make for being a business owner. And I want you to really think about all of these going into the rest of this program and when you're building your business. All right, see you in the next one.